What if the entire life of Jesus was actually meant to be a prophetic picture of the events in the last days and the end times? It's something I've never heard anybody preach, but I can clearly see examples of it in the life of Jesus, of events and things that are prophesied about in the last days. I can see them happening in the life of Jesus. And I believe that helps us give us a little bit better understanding of those events if we parallel it over with what happened in the life of Jesus. And that would be in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts. Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10 tells us that the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. That's letting us know that the testimony of Jesus, which is his life, part of his testimony is how he lived, how he walked on this earth, what he did in ministry that's written down for us in the Gospels and Acts. Lets us know that testimony is the spirit of prophecy. I believe there's a lot of prophetic pictures, if you will. It's foreshadowing events to come. It's meant to help us have a better understanding of the last days and the end times. Being able to look at some of these events, how they played out in the life of Jesus, then help us to better understand how we're supposed to walk, what we're supposed to do in the last days. The Bible also tells us the same thing again in Acts chapter 1 and verse 11, where Jesus is ascending into heaven, and it says he goes up into a cloud, which it's not a real cloud, it's people. And you can go to Hebrews to the cloud of witnesses for that, and to see that a cloud doesn't necessarily have to mean a cloud. It can mean people. And so he's ascending into this cloud, and then two men in white appear who say in verse 11, this Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way as you saw him go into heaven. So the same way, the same manner that Jesus went into heaven, he's going to come again. His entire life and his journey here on earth, his death, burial, and resurrection, and all the things that happened there, and then his ascending, he's saying the same way that he came, he's going to come back. So we find that in Revelation, that this is actually a literal prophecy that Jesus is going to come back in the sky, in the clouds. He's going to return in the same way that he went, literally. But it's also prophetic. It's also foreshadowing. I call them prophetic pictures. They're events that happen that actually are telling you of things of the future, but it's hidden in the events. I see a lot of warnings. I see a lot more warnings than I do God emphasizing, say, the events of the end times. It seems to me that this is going to be a trying time for the church and for us. And the warnings are there. Are we going to make it? Are we going to stand? As you read the Gospels, now you can look and go, is it possible what I'm reading is going to happen again? Is it possible the things that were done to Jesus, the events, will be repeated again in these last days? It's kind of interesting to read, I believe, the Gospels and ask those kinds of questions as you're reading it. I will say this, I can see the falling away. There's a prophesied falling away in the last days, but there was a falling away in Jesus' ministry in John chapter 6, where most of his disciples turned away from him. So there we can see the falling away being repeated again in the last days. And the one that really concerns me the most that I see is a majority of people were just wrong about the first coming. They missed it. They were expecting a king. But that's not how it played out. And as we find out, even Jesus' own immediate 12, one betrays him. The other 11 kind of go back to their life as usual, where Jesus pulled them out of. They're right back doing the same thing again. To me, that's symbolic of backsliding, that they went right back to where they were before Jesus. To me, it's a very clear and sad warning that I believe we're not necessarily going to be right about everything that happens with the second coming, that the events and the things that we think are going to happen may not occur the way that we think it's going to happen. And if that's something that fascinates you, I try not to get too in-depth on these videos, but leave a comment down below. Or if you want me to do another video on that, I can. Just let me know you're interested. I will leave a link to a few videos if you want to check them out. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. But more importantly than anything, keep your eyes on Jesus in this time period. We're definitely in the last days. And Jesus was pretty clear. He said, he who endures to the end, he's the one that will be saved. God bless.